Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to IHIP News, where Pumps and I share our opinion about the news that is important to us. And I'm going to turn it over to my illustrious colleague, America's greatest legal mind, the best clapper in podcasting. Pump, what's got you riled up today?
Well, as always, my favorite subject never fails to entertain me / terrify me at the same time. So a couple things I wanted to point out. He gets on a tape that he made with 700 aides, and let's look at his mouth.
We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back our country on November 5th, 2024.
On November 5th, 2024.
It's so gross. He's frothing at the mouth. I mean, why did no one tell him? Why did they not stop that? The most vain person on the planet is foaming at the mouth.
I think the answer to that question is because nobody can tell him anything.
Right. He cannot hear any criticism.
Right.
I'm sure he went bananas afterwards. That starts my review of the most recent rally for Donald Trump in Vegas, which he's been off the campaign trail, so people have forgotten how crazy he is. So this was a spectacular crazy fest. It's over 100 degrees outside in Vegas at noon. And let me show you the very first thing he says to the voters.
Because I don't want anybody going on me. We need every voter. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
Here's the thing. That's the only time I've listened to what he said, and I believe him. I don't think he's lying. He doesn't give a shit about those people at that rally. He wants their vote. He wants their $2 donations.
I think from time to time, Trump slips out what the truth is. And, you know, he slips out that he wants to be a dictator.
Right.
And then he comes back and clarifies it. Oh, just for the first day.
Right.
And I think that obviously anybody, unless you're in the cult, knows he does not give a shit about anybody except for himself, except for enriching himself and using everything that the presidency has to offer for his own personal benefit. You know what Trump is he is everything about America, the worst parts, the favoring individualism, the capitalism on speed. We worship the richest people. He personifies all of those things in one person.
He's also like a televangelist.
Oh, he's a total megachurch grifter.
Right. I mean, he has taken the megachurch grift and like put it on steroids.
Actually, he's not as successful at grifting as they are.
I don't know. He's pretty successful. I mean, these people have no money. They're buying Bibles from somebody that doesn't go to church. They're wearing tennis shoes, buying $1,000 tennis shoes they're never going to get. They're sending $2, $3 to pay for a billionaire's legal fees. I don't know. I think it's as bad, if not worse.
No, I think the grifting is just as bad. The megachurch people are more organized and thoughtful about how they spend their money and have amassed massive wealth because of it. Donald Trump, you know, he'll bankrupt all of his supporters.
For sure. And here's the deal. The grift is the only successful business he's really ever run. I mean, he bankrupted 2 casinos.
Right. Like, how do you do that?
How's that possible?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing he says at this rally that I just found so interesting is how he wants quick trials in America for drug dealers.
But if you went with the death penalty, you would have no drug problem in this country. Instant, if it was a meaningful, not a trial that lasts 400 years. Like China, I was with President Xi. I said, do you have a drug problem? No. He didn't even know what I was talking about. He's got 1.4 billion people. I said, do you have a drug problem? He goes, no drug problem. I said, how do you do that? Essentially, he said the death penalty. We catch, they call it quick trial. They have a trial, and it's quick.
I just have to say, from somebody that all they do is delay their judicial proceedings and trials, this was like a huge hypocrisy. But the quick trial thing, immediately I thought, he likes a quick trial because he's a quick shot. That's just my own personal take on it.
I mean, the situation with what he just said is so insane. Number one, of course, China has a drug problem
Of course
because our
they do.
species has a drug problem. It is a disease. And what's so sad is so many families and people suffer from addiction and alcoholism. And this mindset that you just are punitive about it is going to set us back so far. And people that suffer from addiction experience so much shame and have, created a debris field of emotional chaos that they've had to mend. And to hear shit like that is just, it's so unhelpful, not to mention against everything that this country stands for, justice, talking about executing. It's just, this is insane. It is insane. But you know what? There are all of these dumb fuck Americans that will sit and listen and go, yep, let's execute. I'm like,
Right.
okay, what about your Uncle Jimmy, the big Alky? Are you going to execute him too? It's just, I don't know. It's wild to me how people listen to him and everything that he says, and they don't think he sounds kind of crazy.
I don't know how you can sit in that rally and not think he is unhinged. Okay, so this next clip is a particular favorite because you always call Maga a death cult. So I thought you had to see this.
Wouldn't it be incredible? He's gone to 250 if he voted for Biden. He's going to vote for Biden. I don't think so. I think it would be suicide before Biden, right?
Exactly.
Who says that?
He says that, and his followers lap that shit up. You're talking about a group of the American public that falls prey to this kind of stuff so easily because they already believe in magical thinking. And he trots out with all of this stuff, and it's just easier for them to stay in this veil of being ignorant than to come out and face facts and the truth. I mean, a lot of these people are now full blown on like far right radio and stuff. They're already saying America with all of these social issues is getting so wayward that we do need a dictator to come in. They're starting to say it all out loud. It just doesn't get covered in the media.
What's so scary about it is that these people, instead of thinking he's unhinged, he needs mental health, they have no concept of empathy, and they're mean-spirited, and he's mean-spirited, and they like that about him. They like him being mean to drug addicts. They like him saying Biden supporters, suicide or Biden. I mean, they like it. They're angry.
But these are the people that are so thin-skinned. They lost their fucking minds when Hillary Clinton called them a basket of deplorables, which I don't think she went far enough.
Absolutely.
I think they're bottom-feeding baskets of deplorables. I mean, this is unbelievable, but they lost their minds. They felt so victimized. Oh my God, Hillary called us that, blah, blah. Every Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, his tweets and or Truth Social posts start off with Happy Thanksgiving, except for the radical left scumbags. I never get my feelings hurt over that because I don't give a shit what he thinks.
Right.
But the right, they play this role all the time where they are persecutors and victims all at the same time. We all know where I think it comes from, which is Looney Tune, fundamentalist Christianity, because that's where fundamentalist Christianity is cruel. That's why they all like him in large numbers. And he says it. I saw some clip of him the other day. The evangelicals love me. The evangelicals love me. I do great with the evangelicals. And I'm like, yeah, because you're just like the Old Testament God. You're familiar.
It's just, I still can't wrap my head around that, but it's true. Here's another thing at this rally that I just thought was as crazy as the shithouse rat.
And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now who really got decimated, and other people too, a lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark. So we're going to end that. We're going to end it for boats. We're going to end it.
And that was about ending electric boats, which I didn't even know that was a problem. But the whole point is, that's fucking bananas. I mean, he goes on for what, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes about the dangers of batteries in the water and sharks.
What's so insane about this is how the Republican Party doesn't even try to fake being normal anymore.
Right.
They don't even try to feign like having honor and integrity like they used to. Now it's just like, we're the fucking batshit crazy party and fuck you, you know, liberals for, you know, trying to fight for human rights. Fuck your human rights. If Biden, Obama, any Democrat went on television and said that shit, Jesse Waters, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity would have to have mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to get them to the hospital, because I don't think they'd make it out of the Fox News studio. They'd be so excited.
It's unbelievable, the difference. They just, first of all, Fox News, from what I understand, has not covered that at all. Just like it never happened, because it's so crazy. I don't see how you can defend it. So they just choose to ignore it. But Obama was criticized and everybody went fucking bananas because he wore a tan suit. This guy's up there having a nervous breakdown in Las Vegas in front of a whole crowd, which I'm sure isn't as big as he says it is. And nobody's saying he needs care. He needs to see a psychiatrist. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. I watch those clips and my mouth hangs open.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, there are still all of these millions of people, their whole identity is this man. Like, I'm a Biden supporter, and I'm a Democrat, but it's not my whole identity.
No.
There's a lot of stuff that I disagree with the party, with maybe decisions that the president has made. And that's just life, but it's not my entire identity. It's wild. And the reason why it's their entire identity is because this is a cult. This is a hardcore cult that embraces stupid ideas from stupid people that say stupid things on national television, and they dig it and they're into it. And it's a massive problem. These are the people that are anti-education. These are the book banners. These are the big government Republicans that want all up in your uterus. I've absolutely had it with these people.
No, it's bad. And they're all the ones with the flags, the hats, the whole nine, which brings me to the flag controversy of our illustrious Supreme Court Justice, Samuel Alito. This guy is a full-blown, unhinged lunatic. Over the weekend, this is what they reported him saying, and it was caught on recording, audio recording.
I think that the solution really is like winning the moral argument. Like, people in this country who believe in God have got to keep fighting for that, to return our country to a place of godliness.
Oh, I agree with you.
He says a bunch of crazy shit, but clearly he's a Christian nationalist. There's no question about it. And then his wife's a fucking nut about flags. Like, who gives this much thought to flags?
You know what I want? I want a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag, because I have to look across the lagoon at the Pride flag for the next month.
Exactly.
And he's like, oh, please don't put up a flag. I said, I won't do it because I'm deferring to you. But when you are free of this nonsense, I'm putting it up, and I'm going to send them a message every day. Maybe every week I'll be changing the flags. There'll be all kinds. I made a flag in my head. This is how I satisfy myself. I made a flag. It's white, and it's yellow and orange flames around it, and in the middle is the word vergogna. Vergogna in Italian means shame. Vergogna.
It's bananas. First of all, her obsession with flags. But to say out loud you want to make your own flag of shame in response to the pride flag. And that when your husband is loose of this nonsense, which is the Supreme Court, and mind you, I just find it odd that his wife is so opinionated, but yet he's taken rights from 180 million people. I mean, I'm stunned by all this. The separation of church and state is done. They want to make it all the same thing. The Supreme Court, the laws, the schools, everything, make it Christian.
It's wild to me, that clip of her, because basically she's saying when we're done with all of this nonsense, meaning that when we don't have to pretend to be fair-minded and objective and apolitical anymore. That's basically what she's saying. She thinks that him being an objective jurist is a problem for her, that it's nonsense. And she says it right then and there. She says the quiet part out loud. They pretend when they go to these Senate hearings that, oh, I would never overturn Roe v. Wade, and I believe in the separation of church and state. She just said, that's nonsense. Whenever I get to be who I want to be, and I can tell all of the LGBTQ plus people, shame on you. When I can tell women that want to control their bodily autonomy, these people are fucking evil. This is so fucking scary. And this is something that I want to point out. A lot of people talk about like Judeo-Christian values, and we need to return to Judeo-Christian values. And I just want to remind everybody that the founders were very precise that there must be a separation of church and state. So you can say and follow the history of Judeo-Christian values or what have you. But all of that needs to be separate from government, because there is no difference whatsoever in evangelical Christianity, far-right Catholicism. It is an authoritarian religion. This form of MAGA and this form of republicanism is authoritarian. It is fascist. And there must be a separation of church and state. I could give two shits if you're a Methodist, an Episcopalian, maybe you go to church twice a year and it's something spiritual for you. It's not my business. What I take issue with is this authoritarian style religion where they want to impose what they believe their book should be moral. They want to impose it onto everybody else, but yet they cherry pick which parts of it they want to enact. I mean, I think there are parts in it, I'm not a religious person, where you're not supposed to eat shellfish and all sorts of crazy shit. If your neighbor doesn't go to church on Sundays, you're supposed to stone them to death. So they cherry pick all of this shit, but this is so wildly dangerous.
So dangerous.
And they want to call people on the left elitists. There's nothing more elitist than that, than thinking that your religion, which, by the way, I just want to point this out for the permanent record. If Jesus Christ really lived, I would think he would have made it into the historical record. You have a man who's walking around doing magic tricks on the earth. There's historians back then, just like there were now. And this guy doesn't make it into the historical record until 100 to 120 years after his death. And they want all of us to go by everything regarding this religion as fact, when they can't even prove that this even happened. And I just take issue with that. I take major issue with that. It is the only area in the world where facts don't matter, where proving it don't matter. When you have a surgeon operate on your heart, you want to make sure that he's following facts, science, and proven techniques that will work on you because you value that. Well, I want the government to take that kind of care with my life. And the government that I was born into took the care to say separation of church and state. And these people want to throw all of this Christianity into the government and present it as fact, when in fact they cannot do that. If you were to tell somebody, oh, well, this happened, but it was only reported 120 years later, there were no eyewitnesses, that's not very valid. You're an attorney. That doesn't hold up in court. And so my problem is this. Sometimes people in the comment sections will say things to me like, Not very many, because most of us are preaching in the choir. But like, how can you say that Jesus didn't exist? And what I'm going to say is this: whenever you start cherry picking magical thinking, like these guys do, it's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
So in your personal life, in your private life, if you want to have some magical thinking in your life, swing for the fences. It's a free country. It's none of my business. But when you start taking your magical thinking, which is not based on fact, which is not based on solid evidence, and you start institutionalizing it into the government, people are going to suffer and people are going to get hurt, because the characters in this book, it's all about retribution. It's all about a reward and then a punishment system. And I think our government has evolved beyond that. You have a fair chance to, get an attorney if you're charged with a crime. We offer justice, and we try to offer justice and equality under the law. And this shit with the Alitos, that is fucking scary shit. And you know what? That handmaid, Amy Coney Barrett, believes all this shit.
For sure.
And Clarence Thomas and his batshit crazy wife believe all this same crazy shit. So what we have are crazy, unhinged, cult, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs who believe in magical thinking, there's some psychological thing going on with all of that they're mad about, where they want to project their misery onto the rest of the world, which is why I think evangelicals are constantly trying to recruit. It's the misery loves company thing. And I just draw the line. I've had to live in this red state and deal with all of these judgmental Christians all the time. And now they're like, oh, we're being so persecuted. And it's like bullshit. That is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Keep your religion out of government. Yep. Keep it out of schools. Keep it out of the public forum. If you want to go pray and believe in magical thinking, I do not give a fuck. Where I care is when you try to project something that is not based on sound historical evidence onto the rest of the world. I think it's dangerous. And I had not heard that till you played that of his wife. And that just is the fact that John Roberts or other members of the court or Congress doesn't do something about these rogue actors is just wild to me. And it's even scarier.
What's even scarier about that is the reason they haven't done anything is there's no ethical standards that have to be abided by these justices. They can't do a fucking thing. They're appointed for life with no oversight. So there you have it. You got crazy ass running for the Republican. You got crazy asses on the Supreme Court. I mean, sometimes it feels like you're drowning in crazy.
It's really overwhelming. I mean, I know that a lot of our viewers listen to this and everybody's scared and everybody is freaking out. And you hear that and it's like, yeah, we should be freaking out. You see all of these millions of people that still like Trump, and you hear what Sam Alito's wife says, when we're free of this nonsense, what she means is when I don't have to pretend to be a decent person anymore, when I can let my bigotry be loud and proud. And then it's so handmade. Remember that shame, all that bullshit, or what was it? Like Game of Thrones, where the chick, it's so medieval. It's just wild. I mean, it's wild that this shit is happening. And here's something I think is so fascinating about the Republican Party is how they've moved the goalposts with Trump's.
Absolutely.
They started off with, oh no, he'll never win the nomination. If he does win the nomination, he's going to ruin the Republican Party. And then he wins. And then it goes on, all the crazy shit he does when he was in Helsinki. And he said, I don't know if Putin did it. It could be some guy in his basement, New Jersey. And he basically says he doesn't believe in American intelligence community. And then they just keep moving the goalposts. Right. January 6th, impeachment, he tries to bribe foreign leaders, all this crazy ass shit. Yeah, it's just the Stormy Daniels. And now it's just and now they're so emboldened by the moving of the goalposts. But I just want to leave everybody with, it is insane to me that these people who have zero proof for their worldview, zero, want to project it onto everybody else. Their only proof they have is, well, it's in the Bible. Well, if you genuinely research this, the entire thing falls apart, and it's revealed that it is a complete knockoff of an ancient Egyptian religion. But these people don't do all of that. They do no research on it. It's just something that they were so indoctrinated with, and something I believe damaged them. as people. And I believe a lot of these people suffer from religious abuse and hurt people. Now all these hurt people are in the fucking U.S. government.
Right. And MAGA supporters.
Shit, guys. All right, well, stick with us for more hot takes.
It's so